This is the only extract the BBC has of this edition of Desert Island Discs. The presenter was Roy Plomley.
Joyce, are you a Londoner?
Yes, I am. I was born in London.
But you are slightly more than half American.
Well, I'm a rather mixed lot, really. My father's mother was American from Rhode Island. He was born in New York. His father was English from Wiltshire. My mother came from Virginia.
Yes. On your mother's side, the celebrated Lady Astor was your aunt.
Yes, she was my mother's older sister. There were 11 children. My mother came right at the end.
Yes. As a girl, did you go through the Deb routine?
Yes, I did. In those days, my friends all met each other, I think, at parties. I suppose that goes on today, but not in the organised way. That I wouldn't want to go through it again, though I enjoyed it enormously. To start with, I met my husband as a result, I suppose, of going to that kind of dances and parties.
Yes.
And it was great fun in those days. We weren't perhaps so socially conscious as we are now, and I don't mean social.
You were an art student for a while, weren't you?
I was, briefly, as I always thought I was going to draw. I
Yes.
have a very small talent for drawing, and I love trying to paint in watercolours. I don't show anybody much what I do. It stays within covers, but it's the fun of the doing, really, and it makes a holiday to me.
And after you were married, you began to write. You began to write verse.
I wrote verse, I contributed to Punch and things like Country Life and The Times even, and The Observer, and I worked on The Observer for nearly 3 years as their radio critic.
Yes. And then, in a rather roundabout way, that brought you into the theatre.
Yes, entirely by accident, and I've told it so often, but, going to a party, playing the fool, and Bertie Fargen hearing me describe a Women's Institute lecture.
Yes, I remember that monologue very well. Useful and acceptable gifts.
Absolutely, I could do it right now. I
And
won't.
You did it for nearly a year in the Little Review.
Just over a year, yes, I did.
That was the beginning of the war, just about.
1939. We opened in April 1939, and the war came later that year.
And for a while you did it non-stop. It was non-stop review,
We
wasn't
played
it?
it absolutely non-stop, and the thing which was so disconcerting was when people got to the bit where they'd come in, you heard their seats banging up. That reduced you to size.
You were in several other Herbert Fargen reviews after that.
Yes, briefly in one called Light and Shade that didn't go for very long, and then in Diversion,
Yes, which was
Diversion 1 and 2.
a very topical title in those Blitz days.
Was
Diversion.
it not? And we played matinees only for 6 months at Wyndham's.
Yes. The rest of the war years you devoted to entertaining troops all over the place. How many countries? Did you ever count?
Yes, I did. 15 countries. The job was a rather special one. Isolated units and hospital wards.
Yes.
There were proper troops of entertainers doing the concert halls in the hospitals or the army barracks and things. But I was sent to the places where it wasn't worth sending a big company,
Yes. No audience too small. There's a story of you stopping to entertain 2 lonely chaps guarding a pipeline.
It's true.
Miles from anywhere.
Yes, somewhere in Iraq or Iran. And once I entertained, I think it was in India, some smallpox patients in a smallpox tent. And we played just outside.
Well done.
We being the girl who played the piano for me and me.
Yes. When the war was over, it was back to West End Review. What was that Noel Coward review called?
Sigh No More.
That's right. And
Lovely song he wrote called Sigh No More. Do you remember?
Yes, I do. And then there was Tuppence Coloured and Penny Plain. In all those reviews, you used mainly your own material.
I think almost entirely. In Noel Coward's review, I did This Is the End of the News, which he had written.
Yes.
And which he cleaned up for me to use. And in, I think it was Penny Plain, I did a number written by my cousin Nicholas Phipps. It was Maud's refusal to come into the garden, and why.
I remember, rather scandalous.
Well, no, she was rather priggish about the whole thing.
And in those years just after the war, you did a great deal of radio, the How series, for instance. How to listen to radio, etc., etc.
With Stephen Potter.
Yes.
One of the real pioneers of overheard radio, wouldn't you say?
Yes. You and Stephen used to write the scripts by ad-libbing them in a single day, was that right?
That's right. We used, well, that's not quite true, really, but we ad-libbed a good deal. There were no tapes in those days. And marvellous people from the BBC would come and take down in shorthand what we were improvising. And then we'd get the scripts and we'd add and take from and all that sort of thing. And you were in a lot of those programs, as I remember.
I had the honour to be one of the select members of the Howe Repertory
You
Company.
were indeed.
As the billing used to put it. And of course we were together and we begged to differ. We had a long run in that.
I very much enjoyed that with Gilbert Harding and Kay Hammond and John Clements and Gladys Young.
Yes.
And Charmian Innes.
2 men versus 4 women.
Yes.
And I was a sort of neutral chairman, a hermaphroditic role, I suppose, really in the middle.
You did it very well, as I remember. It got better as it got more serious,
Yes,
didn't
we
it?
got more serious towards the
It's
end.
awfully boring talking about who should do the washing up. But when we got on to important questions, I think sometimes some quite interesting things were said.
Yes. When did you make your first film?
I think it was during the war. It was a kind of propaganda film that Carol Reed directed. It was for America, and it was called Letter from England. Celia Johnson was supposed to be writing the letter to her children, who had gone to stay with an American woman, played by me. And she is writing the letter. You hear her voice and see everything that she is doing. And there were a few shots of me. That was my first.
Yes. Which have been your favourites among the many that you've made since?
Well, you know, every time you make a film, it's a pleasure, I think. I've enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed playing that little tiny bit in Genevieve very much.
Oh, the landlady.
Yes. And then I enjoyed the only American experience I had, which was quite different, a serious part, in a movie called The Americanization of Emily.
Mm-hmm. You made that in Hollywood?
In Hollywood, yes. And it wasn't really different from making it here, just as chaotic.
Joyce, we haven't talked yet about your entertainments, your one-woman shows, An Evening With, etc. This must have needed quite a lot of courage to start doing an entire evening on your own. Wasn't that rather daunting?
Well, you know, in a funny way, it's what I'd been doing all the time, though not in London. It was what I was doing in the war when I was doing the hospital
Yes,
and
of course.
isolated units. And I also did a lot of concerts for the Arts Council.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were called Arts Council in those days. I can't remember, but that kind of thing. So I'd had a lot of practice.
Yes.
And Laurie Lister said, don't you think it's time you tried and did it in London? And so I first did it, as I remember, at the Lyric Theatre Hammersmith.
How many times have you played the United States now?
Oh, goodness. I should think 8 or 9. I've done 2 New York seasons
Yes.
and some isolated concerts at things like Town Hall. But I've been round the country many times.
Do you change your material for America?
No, nor for Australia, where I've been 4 times, nor Canada, where I've been, I think, almost as many times as America, because I usually do Canada at the same time.
Yes. Your satire is very gentle. Nobody ever gets hurt. Has anyone ever complained?
I once had an anonymous letter from a lady when I was living in the King's Road, Chelsea, and she took me to task for mocking at people who spoke with a Cockney accent. It seemed to me an odd criticism, because what I'm interested in is not the Cockney accent, it's the character, it's the individual.
Yes. But you don't actually imitate individuals. Your characters are an amalgam, are they not?
That's right. I have been inspired by real people, but not to imitate the way they sound so much as the way they use the English language. And I have a favourite character. She's the Vice-Chancellor of an English university. And she is based on a woman to whom I was devoted, a great character. I never was able to use the voice she had on stage because it doesn't carry. She spoke with a very warm and rather velvety voice. And her phrases were quite unique. For instance, I did a benefit concert for her up north, and she wanted to give me my expenses. So she said, "My dear Joyce, we have not yet touched on the sordid topic of coin."
Now, you've been broadcasting quite a lot recently for the BBC Religious Department. This is a new and, I should imagine, very rewarding point.
Very interesting, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities. It's been happening slowly and gradually, and I still get an opportunity from time to time. To me, religion is really a way of life. It's got very little to do with Sunday.
Yes. Which has been your most successful talk?
I wonder. I think it was one, perhaps, in which I talked about the spring being a spiritual concept and going on forever. I can't really remember.
And conservation is another interest.
Very much so, and the preservation of rural England. I did an appeal for the council.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's a very important thing. I mean, we've got to think of people in the future.
It's a vital
When
thing.
you think, here we are, with the country going on, at the moment full of green, and supposing in, 50 years' time, 60 years' time, there are no more bluebells, there are no more primroses. It's a deprivation. Mark you, people don't know what they're missing, but at the same time I think they should be allowed to know.
Yes, I'd rather see bluebells than plastic bags.
Much rather. Oh, that thing of plastic bags. You were saying something on a beach you'd seen some.
Yes, for the first time on a French beach in northern France, not a few months ago, I saw a continuous line of plastic bags, some action of the tide, I suppose, on the high water mark.
And did you know that if you use coloured paper napkins and coloured lavatory paper, the paper dissolves, but the dye doesn't?
No, I didn't
And that
know
we
that.
should never use anything except white.